Well, good evening. Welcome to the Billy Wilder Theater, home of public programs for the UCLA Film and Television Archive. All public programs are free. Thank you to an anonymous donor. Yay! All right. My name is Jillian Borders, and I'm the head of preservation for the archive. And thank you for joining us for this fun night of restored animated shorts. We are so pleased to partner with the Film Foundation and the Seth MacFarlane Foundation on these restorations. So there are countless animated shorts housed in the UCLA archive, so it's quite a feat to choose only 12 to restore for this collection. Todd Weiner and everyone at the Film Foundation, Chris Marola, Jennifer Ahn, and Margaret Bodie, were instrumental in the selection process. The film sources for all 12 of these shorts were on deposit from Paramount Pictures, so we're very grateful for their cooperation on this project, as well as for the scan for Coco's tattoo. Yes, thank you. Give them a round of applause. The shorts you'll see this evening span a period of almost 20 years, I think 1928 to 1944, from silent black and white to two-color Technicolor to three-color Technicolor, and as such, they were restored from a variety of different source elements and with a variety of different restoration challenges. The black and white shorts were all scanned from original picture negatives. The negatives for the Betty Boop shorts all had the original main and end titles removed and replaced when they were bought for television in the 1950s. Fortunately, we were able to find other original titles from similar time periods, mostly surviving as tiny rolls that had been left in the can instead of discarded like most main titles, and we were able to use these as a reference for digitally recreating the titles. I should note that Coco's Tattoo, the sole silent short in the collection, would normally have music to accompany it. Unfortunately, we were unable to get an accompanist for tonight's screening, so it'll be truly silent. Our apologies. I know, yes, we just put that music back on. So the best surviving element for our only two-color title, An Elephant Never Forgets, was a well-used nitrate print. The remainder of the show is in three-color Technicolor. Unlike live-action Technicolor films that use three separate strips of film for the three-color records, animated features and shorts most commonly used successive exposure printing, where each film would be photographed onto black and white film 3 times in succession with filters to capture the different color records. So each film would be 3 times the length of a black and white film because each film is tripled. The negative would later be skip printed in 3 passes to combine the 3 dye layers. Fortunately now, the negative can be scanned all in one pass, and it can be digitally composited to perfectly align the 3 color records. The picture work, including scanning, color correction, and digital restoration, was all done at Roundabout Entertainment. Thank you to Greg Garvin and Vincent Perozzi. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not here, but yeah. The sound was captured by Simon Daniel Sound, and Simon is here. Yay! Primarily from the nitrate original track negatives, and audio mechanics did the sound restorations, removing clicks, pops, and distortion. Senior film preservationist Mickey Shannon was instrumental in this project, from budgeting to prep work, project management, and QC. I'll apologize in advance that you'll see a repeat of most of these names again before each short in our credits. Although each short can stand alone, tonight will be the first time that we're presenting all 12 shorts from this project together. But tonight is the world premiere of the restorations of Wilbur the Lion, You Can't Shoe a Horsefly, and An Elephant Never Forgets. So you're the first audience to see these restorations. Yay. I'd also like to extend a special welcome to Jane Fleischer-Reed and Mauricio Alvarado of Fabulous Fleischer Tunes Restored, FleischerTunes.com, who have been compiling, caring for, and restoring the work of Max and Dave Fleischer. Also, welcome to Arnie Leibovit, who is doing the same for Puppetoons at puppetoon.net. And my last round of thank yous finally goes to our screening partners, ASIFA Hollywood, UCLA Animation Workshop, and the UCLA EMEA Student Chapter. Thank you all. If you appreciate our restorations, the AMIA Student Chapter will be doing a theater takeover later this month, where they will be presenting 4 archive restorations: Native Land and The Killing Floor on April 27th, and Just Another Girl in the IRT and Parting Glances on April 28th. I hope you can join us there. It is now my great honor to welcome Jerry Beck to introduce the shorts. Jerry Beck is a noted animation historian and cartoon producer. His over 15 books on animation history include The Animated Movie Guide, Looney Tunes The Ultimate Visual Guide, and The 50 Greatest Cartoons. He currently teaches animation history at Cal Arts, UCLA, and Chapman University, curates a monthly cartoon club for Quentin Tarantino's New Beverly Cinema, and edits 2 blogs, Animation Scoop and Cartoon Research. As a film distributor, his company Streamline Pictures originally brought Miyazaki's Totoro and Osamu's Akira to the US in the 1990s. And each year he presents the worst cartoons ever at Comic-Con International. For these restorations, Jerry aided in the selection of the shorts and was also very forthcoming with advice about the Betty Boop title recreations. So please welcome to the stage, Jerry Beck.
All right. I'll try not to talk too long because I can talk a long time about each one of these films, and we have a lot of films to run. So what I want to say, though, is I want to really thank Paramount Pictures. They finally have come around. This is right here a dream come true for me. This is something I've always wanted to see. Restorations of the cartoons from their library, and now showing them in a great theater and with a full house. This is exactly what I dreamed about years and years ago. I've been trying to do it for a long time. I really have to thank Paramount. Some studios, and I've dealt with them all. The lowest thing on the totem pole is the cartoons. I understand the newsreels. I understand the Laurel and Hardy comedies, the classic movies, the live action films. But the cartoons are like below everything. They're below the Dish Night films or whatever the lowest thing was. What they do is they think of the cartoons as kids' fodder, old kids' fodder. They don't have a place anymore. They don't have value anymore, despite some of them having some very famous characters that are still well known today. Anyway, we're going to prove all that wrong by our reactions and what we're going to see on the screen. When they're restored, as you will see tonight, they're jaw-dropping. They're brand new, valid entertainment that should not be buried in the vaults. They should be out there and enjoyed and seen like any other classic movies from the Golden Age. And so that's what I want to say about that. Now I'm going to look at the list here and quickly give a few notes on some of the cartoons that we're going to look at. We're going to see cartoons from mainly the Fleischer Studio, a couple of George Pal's Puppetoons, and one cartoon, a cult favorite from Terry Toons. All of these are owned by Paramount, as has been said. The Terry Toon, here's the thing. Those cartoons have looked awful forever. They looked awful when they were shown on TV in the 60s, and later. Splicey, fading, and all that. This is what they look like when they were played in front of at a movie theater. Something I tell my students, I like them to understand as best they can how these cartoons were originally shown, what the context was of them at the time. We grew up with them on a whole half hour of Terry Toons. Or a videotape that had an hour of Terry Toons back to back to back. We live in a world with YouTube, with cartoon channels and this and that. We didn't have that world back then. I think a lot of people here know that. If people saw a cartoon, they only saw it once. It was like a comic strip in the newspaper. You read the comic, you laughed, you threw the paper away. That's how cartoons were when they were shown in theaters. If audiences gave something a good reaction, most studios, particularly Terry Toons, remade the cartoon. That's why there's so many cartoons with the same plots in them. The ones that stand out, of course, to us are the ones from like Warner's and other studios, Tex Avery, where they didn't repeat themselves over again. Or if they did it masterfully. The Terry Toon one we're showing is the Terry Toons were actually pretty cool into the 1940s, in my opinion. We just don't see them. This particular one is similar to what was in vogue at that time, which was what Tex Avery had started, making fun of classic fairy tales, and bringing them up to date, with swing music or jive talk or this or that. And this one is actually on. I don't understand memes, internet memes, but this one has one. The spaghetti, the spaghetti thing. I think he's supposed to be Greek. Kind of like Parkycarkus. The Papa Bear. But I definitely identified it's Arthur Kay doing the voice, who was the voice of Gandy Goose. So that's for you people who are really, really into that part of it. The Puppetoons. The Puppetoons. Holy moly. We got to really thank Arnold Leibovitz for getting those out of the vaults, restored, and he's been putting them out on Blu-ray. These are two particularly unique ones, in my opinion. Two Gun Rusty. Pal did many, many series of different characters. I think he did that because it was easier. They had the puppets built already, so let's make another one with this character, let's make another one with that character. This is one of the first ones, not the first, with the character of Rusty, a little boy who has daydreams. It's interesting to me because of a couple of reasons. At one point, Rusty, before he goes to sleep, and this one you'll notice he's looking at it on his wall, and there's a live-action cowboy picture. And I think some people here will recognize that that's Hopalong Cassidy, William Boyd, and his films were being released by Paramount at this same time. So I think that was kind of an interesting little tie-in. There's a song in the film called Down in Santa Fe, and as far as I know, this is maybe the only Puppetoon, or maybe there's another one, I'm forgetting it, where they actually issued the sheet music for this song. It's a Western song. They never did that. No more comment than that. Wilbur the Lion, the other film that we're looking at, is an interesting film because it's a little bit like Disney's Bongo, which came out the same year, 1947. The Bongo and this film are about circus animals who get put back in the jungle, and then they don't know how to deal with that, Very interesting. But they have two completely different takes on how you do it. The voice on that one. Who? The Whistler. Oh, I don't know. I don't know who that is. Okay. Sorry. The Fleischer Studio. Oh, yeah, one more thing I want to say about the Puppetoons. You'll see, I think, in the opening of one of them, the Oscar, they got an Academy Award for the technique that Pal created. The technique is what we call replacement animation today. And it's done more often today at the films from Leica Studios and others, where they literally make for example, the character saying a word, hello, they'll make, 5 or 6 different heads with the mouth in a different, you know what I mean? It's just they replace the head instead of moving the mouth. And it seems crazy, but it actually works today much better since we have 3D printing. It's a very unique technique that makes the Puppetoons, a little more cartoony. In fact, I believe they actually hand animated some of the scenes, some of the cycles, the walk cycles and things. And then back then, they actually sculpted these puppets out of wood. I mean, when you think about it, it's pretty crazy. We're going to look at many from the Fleischer Studio. I like many of you, perhaps. I grew up seeing these on TV when I was a kid, and these are the stuff of nightmares. Particularly of the ones we're looking tonight. A couple of them tonight that are particularly nightmarish is Greedy Humpty Dumpty. About this crazy, mad Humpty Dumpty character. Beautiful, beautiful stuff in this film. But it's scary. I was scared of this character when I was a kid. Fresh Vegetable Mystery, similarly. That's a cartoon where the cops, who are potatoes, are round up the suspects in the mystery, and they literally grill them, and do other kinds of police brutality to these harmless vegetables. Anyway, I like that at the end, of course, there's a bunch of mice who are the villains who are sort of based on the Dead End Kids. And that must have went over really, really well when this was made, because that was a thing with the Fleischers and later the Paramount Studio. They kept doing what I call the Leo Gorcey mouse, which became Herman the Mouse later on. But I think it starts right here. The Little Stranger, which is an ugly duckling story. Several of these, maybe not all, but several of these have those three-dimensional stereo optical backgrounds, which are super cool. And I show them in my class, and the students constantly are, how did they do that? You know, they built real live action three-dimensional sets, and they moved them behind the characters who are on a cell, and it works. I mean, it still amazes and delights today. I can't wait to see the recreated titles for the Betty Boops. I'm going to stop here. Enjoy the show. Thank you.